Everybody, welcome back to Mystics MMOs. I'm your host, Mystic Raven. Alright, so I'm back on DCUO, and basically I'm going to go over about progression, the importance of making decisions when you reach a certain plateau in your game's progression in DCUO. In DCUO, everything's linear, meaning we can go back and we can get feats, right, for SP points, and that's kind of important. But when we're looking at gear progression, so SP points and feats is important. Keep that in mind. But when we're taking a look at gear progression, we want to keep true to the idea that we want to do the content that's relevant, right? And still try to acquire as much skill points in SP as possible. Now, for example, I'm down here in Gotham Under Siege with Typhoon's forces. Now, nothing in this thing's basically going to give me my further progression, but it is going to help towards SP points. So I'm going to do some dailies. And the next area where I'm at, I can do those dailies as well, and then I want to try to keep to the content that's giving me the currency towards the gear progression. So it's kind of a very important aspect to remember. Now, one thing that I really do like, even though it does, some of this repetitive dailies do get a little monotonous, they do have zones correlating to the CR, which is good. So even though we don't have more of an open world area, there are correlating zones that are efficient for leveling purposes. So it still serves the function that more of an open world concept would have. The only problem that you usually see with this is usually continued cookie formatted maps. Not to say that's a bad thing, because we are dealing with Metropolis and Gotham primarily, sometimes Central City. Star City would be actually, I think, a good implication with Green Arrow, so that's something to keep in mind for maybe futures applications. Even though the two biggest commercialized aspects to the areas is Gotham and Metropolis, but Metropolis we don't see, we typically don't see some of the same effects that Gotham or Metropolis gets, but like I said, Central City, we do have the flashback episode. I wanted to say it was early in the DLCs, so Oon would be a really another good place to check out, like, you know, maybe like some planets for the Green Lantern Corps. That would be just kind of be nice little zones that they could implement in the future. Just because these zones, you know, it just switches it up, you know. So, okay, we'll go back down to combat rating. Now we're going to be focused on portals. once again, I'm trying to get the RAL. I need a couple more pieces of the RAL because that's, you know, collecting your outfits is important. Now, once I get everything updated as far as progression also goes, I want to focus on, obviously, trying to get the other sets I bypassed for a speedy transition to my CR, my combat rating. Because you can always go back and get more SP, especially in the zoned content. Progression can become a little stagnant, especially with currencies. When everything changes from marks of victory to other currencies, this is when you really want to take time in between your weekly resets to focus on SP progression. Now, even though this is a hero and he's fighting all of this, I will get credit for the closed portal just for hitting it. So it's kind of nice. I'm not stealing it from him and he's not stealing it from me. So as long as we both participate, that's one of those nice aspects about this game. As you guys can see, I'm just kind of moving in within the same area, fixed area, because I don't have to do anything. Yo, Cal, what's up? Hope you're doing good. Hope you're having a good day. So, this game is not without typical quest progression, but we're not doing it for XP gains. We're doing it in this essence of acquiring currency to get our styles for purchase. So I can backtrack any content in the game regardless of leveling or out gear scoring the area, so I can get some of that the styles with the currency that is particular to purchase, which for this area is the ancient coins. And I'll be demonstrating that after I get this. Now, we have 2 of the quests done. Now we can do the citizens part of the quest. And by this time, we should have the weekly done. That will also give us a currency. Pretty close, anyways. Now, obviously, the representation on the map is the idea of what our objective is. If I can target the poor citizen that's locked up. Now, usually there are guards, but I do need to destroy monsters anyway, as it's part of my weekly quest. And that's what's nice about doing the dailies. The one thing I wish the game would do is implement alert dailies for bonus rewards. That would kind of help towards marks progression. And then maybe streamline the currencies every 2 DLCs backwards instead of every 4, I want to say. So we have like typically 4 different currencies occurring at any given time. In each area, the currency never changes. So if they streamline that a little bit better, that would be a little bit more attainable for new players coming into the game. Now, it's very important for me to do the event this year because my trinkets are behind. So it's becomes very precedent that I do that so I can get the new scaled effects for the trinkets. I kind of wish that would happen just automatically, I guess. But unfortunately, hey, it is what it is. I mean, only in a perfect world, right? But once again, we can't assume the coding is going to do this for us, given the fact that it's a linear-based system, and the design is set up to. Okay, call me if I need to get you, honey. Okay. Hey, make sure Odin's out. Okay. Thank you, honey. Okay. So now. 357 of 410. I have quite a bit of monsters to kill. We will be doing that as well. Once again, and that's kind of going to have to be the precedent for maintaining progression. Because after a certain point, and when I hit a certain CR, I'm not going to be able to go into the trials to obtain the currency. So I can come to the zones and still do those zone events or dailies and weeklies that will still yield the currency I'm needing to obtain the sets for my SP game bonus. Okay, now this will be the last one, and then it's just basically a grind of like 50, a little less than 50. And that's where you see people, like when people log in and they say, oh, this game's dead. It's not dead. They're in zones. So the game's far from dead. It's not even close to being dead. The problem of it is the CR, and once again, this is where I feel like some dynamic events to the core game would kind of alleviate people's speculation, giving up players a little bit more diversity into their gameplay, as well as unification between the two different factions or villains and heroes at this time to fight a common foe. And there are different scenarios that we can get into. Like we can literally put Brainiac into a Gotham scenario for an invasion, and then we can put an apocalyptic invasion in Metropolis. And this would give two different dynamic events that could happen randomly throughout the day in multiple aspects to increase content for current subscribers and a player like me to stay involved into the DC universe. Okay. So, just a grind fest at this point, you know, just mobbing and mobbing and mobbing and mobbing. PvE, the game's done well. PvP is not so bad in the game. It is fun. Unfortunately, it's just not competitive. There's no leaderboards to reflect participation. Wish they would change that and give out rewards. Those are two little things that could be applied. And then addressing stun combo setups to have a diminishing effect to application. If that was more concurrent, and then adding a new PvP type selection into the open world, or not more open world, but into a different effect, then we could see large population towards gaining PvP progression and little things like that, because you wouldn't have to change anything with the combat system or as far as damage output. Now, a lot of people want to say that one class is typically better than the other, but rest assured that is not the case. The players are just very good at their roles. Every class has a healing effect. Every class has a CC effect. The question of it is how the applied effect is affected between the build becomes more dominant between each player type. And this is why the only thing that has to change as far as the combat mechanics will literally be CC influence. Yo, Jack, what's up? Hope you're doing good, brother. But you have to, like I said, when you come to a certain point into the game, because you're aware that it's a linear progression, you have to make decisions. You have to understand, how is my progression becoming effective or ineffective? Because marks we can acquire through backtracking, but it's not in a progressive manner, giving us a substantial amount to be influential. So that's where these zones come into play, and they're done very well. But once again, we have limited aspect to dynamic interface with the community, and you know, so the devs do a good job providing initial combat accordingly to the CR progression, which is pretty badass. But once again, it becomes a little stagnant, because once you spend a week or two in the same area picking up the same dailies, we have nothing really towards our progression. Because in this game, we don't have a crafting system that kind of influences our a secondary effect, like upgrading or anything, or adding to the augments other than the R&D. And the R&D, we're getting in different ways to, like the exobytes here. Perfect example as I'm speaking about this. Exobytes are an upgrade component towards our R&D, but crafting isn't necessarily a requirement towards overall progression, that we have to farm tailoring or blacksmithing or something tedious like that. Because it does become tedious. There's only like 2 MMOs that we have viable crafting towards endgame. And sometimes that's an overlooked component when we take a look at MMO progression. So, you know. Now you notice, like, I'm not queued for anything. Why? Because I'm very much trying to get my progression done for the week, for my weekly. So I want to try to wrap this up as best as possible, and then I'll give you an example of how we can backtrack, but then we want to go forward in our progression. Okay, looking pretty good. We got a few more, 13 more. I have no idea, honey. Our daughter said that. Honey, I don't think it's in here. I don't know. Did you check the living room? Alright, sorry, it's my wife. Okay, we got 9 more. I'm really good at clipping on this tune, as well as comboing up, so it's something I'm more accustomed to with this specific tune. Healers don't clip very often. Combos can differ between each healing set, power set. But typically you don't see healers or tanks clip too often. Either DPS or strollers. Strollers is very important, whether how you're going to have to run a clipped rotation. Okay, we got about 5 more. I hit these portals up. That'll spawn some ads as well. Okay, so we're done. I'm going to bail on that portal, and we're going to go back, and then I'm going to show you... I'm not going to get it, but basically the understanding of backtracking, because this is 166 combat, and currently even at my DPS level, I'm 182, but I'm at 190 in this. But see, as you can see, we're getting this currency. And now I have the new weekly. I can come back tomorrow and then progress. Oh, no, it can reset. Okay, so... But... Okay, there's 8 coins. Hold on, got one more turn in. Okay. Now, when we come to the vendor, it's very important to understand that now currently it's all about what? Progression, right? So we have a 33 towards this headpiece, right? I can't purchase it, right? Now we have a rouse back, or Rao's back, or Rowls. I think it's pronounced Row, because it's Kryptonian, I wanted to say. But the back, that's a style we don't have. Once we acquire the rest of the styles, we're going to unlock what? The feet, right? And that gives us the most, right? When we take a look at our feats, and we go into DLCs, episodes. I wanted to say, what is it? Amazon's Fury, Part 2. Potentially, maybe Part 3 or something like that. I don't even think that's it. Amazon's Fury Part 3, right here. Alright, so when we come down, there's the raid feats, right? And we want to take a look at the style feats. I think the style feats in here. Not absolutely sure, but it should typically be. Collect all the treasures of Olympus. Okay. And you'll see that I've already done some of this. So it's kind of an important, I think that it's probably under styles. So let's go under styles. It should be theme styles. Split, personality, biohazard, bewitching, mist aura. Probably always put it in here. They should put it in both, to be honest with you. It's just easier to keep track that way. It's probably under iconic, maybe, yeah. Time travel, surgeons. Fallen God. Okay. So, we know that this is a part... The Fallen God set was what we have to get in this zone. Right? It's going to tell us. That's 3. That's 50 points. Right? Towards SP gain. Anything with 3 is a 50 point towards SP gain. So, you have to be aware that sometimes coming back to these areas is very crucial to unlock styles. A lot of times you can be meticulous and try to work on the extra feats, but those will just come in time. So here's a back. There's 24. I can collect this now, right? And it's going to be a gain for this build. But so I'm going to grab DPS because I don't need it in my other effect. And of course I have a Prometheus box. So let's open that really quick. Got it. I'll take the Brush City Landscape. I'm trying to collect some stuff for another tunes. Okay, so I'm going to apply this. Now I can go back. And then we get the back, and we add that, and we upgrade our pieces. So, excuse me. Very, very important. I cannot stress the importance that if you're trying to find stuff to do, it's not always about CR progression. It is to a degree, But you have to make decisions. You have to understand, where's my progression at this point? Where do I need to focus progression on with my tune? You know? And then sometimes you might not want to do that back thing. Okay, hold on. I don't use light barrier on this tune. I don't think I use any of these, so I'm gonna go with the Berserker. Maybe. Gain health regeneration. Not really what I'm looking for. So we'll put that on our back. Okay. Once again, once we do this, we want to just keep the upgrades going on. And then now I can also take my marks. Once I get that unlocked, now start also working on DPS pieces to acquire. Assembly. I think it's still low on a couple of things. And I think I have to pick up some stuff because I was transferring some stuff, so I think I still, my shared bank gets full. Not quite, almost. Close. All right. Jesus, how many Phoenix eggs can you get? Okay. Okay, now, once I've done something like that and I know now, okay, well, I've done this, right? So I'm still in a progression form. So I still can go with the Olympian. Dark Side isn't going to yield anything in my other one. I already did Gods and Monsters. Ultimate Soldier, yes. Justice for All, yes. Why? Because these are giving me my War Bonds. My War Bonds is a form of progression. Now, if I want to go backwards to get styles, yes, and get optional marks. Yes. So I could do that. I can do that. That's why players play the older content. Because they're either trying to acquire more marks or styles to collect their style feats. Style feats in this game is very important. But just for the purpose of doing this video, I'm going to go ahead and walk through. I'm going to keep with progression. So I'm going to limit my access to progression. So now when I take a look down here, we know I'm going to get war bonds for this. We know I'm going to get war bonds over here. We know I'm going to get ancient coins right here. Right? As well as a rip in time, we get marks. So we're still under that. Phantom Zone isn't going to give us anything but what? Styles. So that kind of goes hand in hand. Now, war crimes. Okay. And then we can go to the events and then do these because this is part of the Titan progression. Remember that gear scales. So we get different styles. We get a different currency to do what? Still unlock potential feats as well in there. So I probably will be queuing at least these 2 events because we have reset. And then when we take a look at currency, under Titan credits, we have 29 credits. And then when I go to warp menu, I can go to the Titan Tower or Titan Island automatically. I can warp there. We can also go to Doomed Metropolis. Now we've already saved, so this will allow us to also switch our role to scale higher. Of course, we got our Titan credit for doing that. Okay, we have 2 DPS, and one's really high, so I'm going to stay in controller form.
And work with the members of Task Force X until the objective is complete. Failure to do so will result in your termination.
Oh, I need potions or coolers. Or make repairs. No, they're not as significant at the moment. Now, why do I want to stay in controller form? Well, one thing, 2 reasons. One, we don't have a healer, if you notice. So the CCs are going to be a lot more effective for my party members. Especially with debuffing. We want to kill them faster. Now, typically, if we have a healer and a tank, I would go DPS. And keep in mind, also when I'm restoring power, I'm essentially healing them as well, a little bit. Not as much as a healer. And then I can come back and go through this and look for more of those. Yep. Hit the generator, yep. I'm loving this build. I'm taking the sandbag wall. That's kind of cool. There's a lot of things in the shop I would like to get. Like, they have this bunker style base or layer. I wanted to get it, but unfortunately, you know, I'm a poor man. I'm trying, man. I used my allowance they give me to get that capsule. They gave me this, so hey. hear it. Aha! Knew I had to be close. So there's only one I have to backtrack for, maybe. I hear it. Ultra Humanite. I haven't seen this dude in a minute. No. Dude. Shit. Tank, you're supposed to block. You're supposed to block. He's enraged. Can't skip mechanics. Do not use the terminals. Okay. I thought we were going for a feat, but if you need a healer, if you want the feat, that's why. Makes sense. That's why I think they should up it to 5. Come on, Atomic. That just sucks. I was hoping to get the feet. Not gonna lie. Said don't use it. I'll go with the head.
That damn dirty pop is too smart for his own good. He was lucky.
I hear it. I don't know where it's at. It might be under me.
My Thanagar's moved. Two of you? These are strange and dangerous times. I won't look a gift horse in the mouth. Having another Wonder Woman on our side can only be a blessing. Thank you for freeing us.
Holly, I know you must be worried that Wildcat is not in the cells with the rest of us. I fear Dr. Savannah has taken him into his makeshift laboratory. There may still be time to save him.
All right here, right here, right here. I know where it's at.
Go, secure us an exit.
Yep. I wish they'd have layers more like these, some of the bases that you get in here. Like customize the layout of your layer would be kind of cool. Stay with the theme, but just give it a little bit like how do you want the layout to go? Have a set for the square feet, but like say, you know, I don't want a third floor. Say I wanted to extend the 2 floors. Give it a pattern option is what I'm saying. If that makes sense.
Harold, got
My mind is clearer now. My memory is fading. The man I was. Anyway, I know I was Johann Waldburg, Baron von Zappen's cadre of
private
savage
God,
soldiers.
Savannah.
I wanted to bring order to the chaotic world.
Release him. Now. You aren't a match for one, let alone 2 Wonder Women with Themyscira.
2 or 20, it doesn't matter how many women of Wonder
Dr. Psycho, or not Dr. Psycho up.
My glorious new experiments will destroy you.
I like that they're bringing back some of the old Order characters. Give me a raid with Penguin though. That's what I want. Bring in some of the classic, the Golden Age stuff. power output's looking really good. Yeah, Doctor's Savannah or whatever. Dude's crazy. He's fucking crazy. Taking the belt. For style.
I wouldn't have come to save your scruffy behind if you weren't constantly flying off into danger. Fists and brain. I don't know how many times I have to tell you, don't call me Paul.
You know me, Polly. Always causing trouble. Now who's the doppelganger here?
This is where they do really good. How they put the storylines together.
See your every move? I am Time's master, and I will soon master the world and all those who inhabit it. Including the high and mighty Justice Society of America. May I suggest you surrender now?
The JSA.
And I will take infinite and violent enjoyment out of crushing the insufferable JSA once and for all.
He really does like to hear himself talk. I'd like to show him how we deal with evil in my time, but for now, we must go.
We're retreating. Okay.
We've secured a way out. The JSA will be back here, Zegathon. You can count on that.
The head for the controller is a lot better. So it's going to help towards progression. I'll end up taking it after all. Only 8. Was the military one? What? Feel like I got screwed out of that. Okay, I'm gonna go a little backwards, try to find those really quick. Did I just go around in a circle? I think I did. Yep. I came this way. Oh, nope, 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 nope. What material is this? Surge, I wanted to say. Let me check it out. I want to say this is Surge. Surging material. This is the surging material. Should have put on another tune. That's what I should have done.
I don't know if anyone will ever hear this recording. I was able to sneak this device out of Dr. Savannah's lab.
Okay, I need one more, and I forget where it was. I'll just come back and get it, because I will be coming back anyways. This is the surging material. It's, you know, I was going over that today. Like, I'm surprised they didn't have, like, a sale on stabilizers, given the fact how much it cost.
Dude, giant
Oh, no.
robot. Need I say more?
Get off me, Beast Boy. Alright. I know I have the rider's chest. Let me check out the feats. How did you get that material so quickly? I just literally bought. Okay, so if you buy. Okay, they come with the material in the Resurgence, right? So if you get the Resurgence, right, you get a total of 9 of the capsules, plus the power material, right? So you'll get a power material from purchasing or opening these. The thing about it is it costs 630, okay? So 630 to open one, to get an unlocked one. If you get a locked one, which they drop, you have to use 7 keys. Now 7 stabilizers. That, in my opinion, is not very cost effective, right? So because you can pick up stabilizers, but here's the kicker: you have 14 days from the time you pick it up to open it. You have 14 days from the time you pick it up to open these. These do not stack. Right? You'll get every one of these, plus you'll get a power material. See? Power material. It's automatic. It's an automatic. But if you're going to buy 7 of them, say you do 20, it's like what? 17 something? And it lets you open 2. But at 13, you can buy 2 whatever. You can buy 2 directly and get 2 of the power materials. But I mean, I just used my allowance because I'm a pole man. We got a shitload of trollers. I'm gonna go DPS. Forget this. We do not need all these trollers. We do not need all that trolls.
Jericho's driving that high flunky now.
So if I would suggest to anybody, don't waste your time acquiring the stabilizers to unlock it, unless you can think you can get 7 within 14 days, which you could. You might be able to open 1 through in-game, because you can get a stabilizer every 2 days if you do your daily for the stabilizers. But if you just want to try to get, you know, the stabilizers straight up, you definitely want to try to get cash up on that. The ones that are already open, they're cheaper. The ones that are already unlocked are cheaper than buying stabilizers. And then just save maybe 1 or 2 of them, because remember, they don't stack in the bag. I was the company, I would have, or somebody in the company, I would have said, hey man, let's put stabilizer sale on right now. Why? Simple. Because we got all this power material and people will buy the shit out of it. If it's affordable, players will buy that shit. You know, they'll eat it up. They'll eat it like candy. But nobody's going to be able to afford to keep buying. You don't want to make it too cheap. I'm not saying like make it where everybody's getting it. I'm not saying that. I'm like literally saying let's take 20% off the stabilizers. Put stabilizers on sale for 20% off. Regardless if they buy single, a 10-pack, or 20-pack. Right? Because then 20% off, people will be like, well, typically I could only afford a 10-pack. Well, now I might be able to afford a 20 and a 10-pack because I'm getting that off. So now they're spending a little bit more money. That's within a reasonable amount. You got to think about that when you're doing fluff, man. When you're doing fluff, you either make it really rare and expensive, right? Where nobody's going to spend it. And if they do, they're getting their money's worth. Or you make it where it's more accessible, right? And they can get it by spending a certain amount because it's RNG based. Your material type is RNG based. So since it's RNG based, well, shit, just put. And people might want a certain specific type of stabilizers, and we know everybody's got alts in this game. Why wouldn't you have a stabilizer sale with an event like that, with something like this? It's mind-blowing. Especially when you introduce it. When you introduce it, that's when you want to get the money in. Got to get that money. I'm telling you, somebody in their marketing division is fucking up. And I'm not trying to be mean and tell people to fire. I'm just saying, whoever you are in marketing, please take notes. Please. And if you end up doing it, you can, you know, donate to my channel. And say thank you, Mystic, for saving my ass. See, these resurgent capsules drop like crazy. Kryptonians aren't dropping anymore currently. So I feel like this is in right now prior. So I think we're done with I might be wrong, but I think we're going to be done with Kryptonian. And the resurgent capsules will be a filler up until the new Atlantis DLC comes out. And that's, what, about a month away? It's right around the corner. A month or two away. So... I think I got all the styles, but I mean, we are looking at a scaling system now, so
End of the line, Titans.
Where are they, Deathstroke? Where are our friends?
Terra, where they are. She was so eager to play her part in your team's demise. Like putty in my hands. She even thinks I'm the father she never had.
You son of a...
Shut it, kid. You came for a fight? So fight.
Oh! I hate when people aren't paying attention to mechanics. Oh, snap!
I did what I had to do.
A new utility belt. Or a trinket.
Jericho?
It's me. Let's go save your friends.
Let's go for the belt. I know I need a trinket too, but I'm going for the belt. Going for the belt! Because I am the champion, my friends. Let's go. Thank God we have a troller who knows how to debuff. Thank you. That's all I think I ever asked for. I'm DPSing. Give me a troller who knows what he's doing. Like, the medic should always get a heal debuff. Good trollers, man, will make a world of a difference in your raid teams. See how he's got the two debuffs on the troller, or on the medic? Very important, man.
It's me, Jericho.
I'm in control.
We got like
Deathstroke
a couple
hired
above the
terrorists.
2, whatever.
Damien, I want you to take Jericho
I mean, I'm
and the
not
rest of
typically
the
not a
troops. Go
DPS,
after
but I'm not
terrorists.
doing too bad.
Robin and I will rescue the Titans.
That is the best tactical decision you've made yet.
Well, if it isn't Batman's bratty little bastard. Think you and these rejects can stop me? Get real, creep. I'm done holding back. You're dead.
Good thing I brought reinforcements then.
Slade? What the hell are you doing with them? We had a deal.
Tara's weakness is her
We
anger.
were a team.
Follow my lead.
Partners.
Did you think I would partner
You're
with
just
a weak
sad.
little girl who cries for her daddy? Ugh.
No one wants you,
I'm-
Dude looks like Godspeed, doesn't it?
Not
Family won't
Slade.
be able to identify
Guy with the white
mine.
flash kind of reminds me of Godspeed.
Angering her, but further taunting will be
I think
necessary.
it definitely went for the Godspeed look.
Keep moving. The fewer of us she traps, the more likely we are to survive.
Wow, 3 people have already disliked this live stream. Yeah. I have haters. Believe it. Believe it. I have my fucking haters, man. I do. It's just the truth. Can somebody please get that rock that's in front of you? What? I was about to say, what in the heck, man? These dudes are like ignoring mechanics. I got it.
Avoid the rock walls. The floor inside is deadly.
Don't understand why you have haters. Your content's pretty good. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, it's because it comes back from Elder Scrolls. See, when I first... Okay, so here's the story. I took literally 2 years off from playing any MMO. Any MMO. Right? Took 2 years off. So there for 2 years I wasn't playing any MMOs. And what ended up happening, now I wasn't a content creator. Actually, we used to make fun of content creators because majority of the time content creators really didn't know what the fuck they were talking about half the time. They really kind of were a little back in their early days during early YouTube content creating. I mean, when you watched them, you were just like, dude, have you ever even been in that fucking trial or in that raid, or have you done it? Because you've just missed like half the important aspects to this fucking shit. And it's just the way it was. So, but anyways, I ended up coming into Elder Scrolls. So I was, what, no one got that? Holy fuck. It's gonna reset if we don't. Shit. Anyways, so I came into Elder Scrolls. Now, the first thing I noticed when I came in was they were using the word best in slot. Now, the Elder Scrolls game doesn't have best in slot because it's open-ended, meaning you can actually alter the numbers. What's cool, you can alter the numbers. It's intentionally designed. It's beautiful, actually. It's brilliant. It's actually probably one of the best aspects to the game is because they introduced a diminishing effect through the CP system, which they were stacking their CP and ignoring the law of diminishing returns. I'm like, you can't do that with percentage math. You have percentage math. The law of diminishing returns is relevant. And then when I became a content creator based on that. That alone is what made me become a content creator for Elder Scrolls Online. Because they were ignoring math and fundamental math for MMOs at that. So because we have diminishing returns in every game, that's class-based anyways. Sandbox is the exception to the rule based on the whole principle that we have a hard cap. But anyways, regardless, I ended up creating builds, and I would come out with and showing people why diminishing returns, how diminishing returns were being applied and affected. And people hated it because I was proving the most popular content creators to be fucking dumbasses because they're mathematically challenged. I'm like, how in the fuck do you stack CP, ignore the law of diminishing return, then have the audacity to use the word best in slot when you have an open-ended system with indifferent values? Because if it's a controllable, right? If it's not a dependent variable and it's independent, well, now you have controlled variable, right? And if you have a controlled variable due to percentage math, due to the diminishing return, well, now we have different values that apply. That's once again a mathematical law. And I'm like, so how in the fuck did you guys, for the first 2 years, how did you guys play this game and ignore all that? How? Inquiring minds want to know. And then people hated me from that point on. Because I would rag on them on my show daily. It was called ESO Daily. And I would rag on, and I was proving people wrong. People were like, DKs can't heal. I did it. Nightblades can't heal. I did it.